The sky was darker than usual, and the wind carried a chill that made Adebayo's skin prickle. He stood at the edge of the forest, staring at the narrow path hidden behind the thick trees. No one in the village dared to step onto that path. They all knew the stories, the whispers of those who entered and were never seen again. But tonight, Adebayo had no choice. His mother was dying, her breath shallow, her skin cold. The village healer had tried everything, but nothing worked. In her last moment, she whispered the one thing Adebayo had always feared. "Find the Village of Immortals, or I won't survive the night." Adebayo's heart pounded as he took his first step onto the path. The trees closed in around him, their branches twisting like fingers, reaching out to grab him. Every instinct told him to turn back, but he kept moving. He had to save his mother. Nothing else mattered. The air grew colder with each step, and the sounds of the village faded away. The silence was heavy, pressing down on him, making it hard to breathe. Adebayo's mind raced with all the stories he'd heard about this part. Some said it was cursed. Others believed it was a test. Only the brave could find the Village of Immortals. He was deep in the forest now, and the path seemed endless. Suddenly he heard a soft rustling behind him. He spun around, but there was nothing there, just the shadows and the darkness. He turned back, quickening his pace, but the rustling grew louder, closer. Panic gripped him, and he started to run. Then he saw it, a faint light in the distance, flickering like a firefly in the dark. Adebayo forced his legs to move faster, even as the rustling behind him turned into footsteps. They were following him. He burst into a small clearing, and there he was, a gate made of twisted vines and bones, glowing faintly in the darkness. His breath caught in his throat as he realized where he was. This was the entrance to the Village of Immortals. But something was wrong. The air was so still, the silence too deep. Adebayo felt eyes on him, watching from the shadows. He knew he wasn't alone. Gathering his courage, he stepped forward and pushed the gate open. It creaked loudly, echoing through the forest. He hesitated for a moment, but then the thought of his mother's pale face pushed him forward. He stepped through the gate and into the village. The first thing he noticed was the smell, sweet like flower and decay. The village was empty, the houses dark and silent. But in the center of the village stood a large tree, its branches heavy with glowing fruit. Adebayo knew what he had to do. He had to pick the fruit and bring it back to his mother. But as he reached for the lowest branch, he heard a voice behind him. "You shouldn't have come here." Adebayo froze, his hand inches from the fruit. He turned slowly and saw a figure stepping out of the shadow. It was an old man, his eyes glowing with an eerie light. He looked at Adebayo with a mix of pity and anger. "Why are you here, boy?" the old man asked, his voice low and grave. Adebayo's throat was dry, but he managed to speak. "My mother, she is dying. I need the fruit to save her." The old man shook his head. "That fruit does not belong to the living. It will save her, but at a price." "What price?" Adebayo asked, his heart sinking. "The price of your life," the old man said simply. "Once you take the fruit, you can never leave this village. You will live forever, but you will never see your mother again." Adebayo felt the weight of the old man's words pressing down on him. He looked at the fruit and then back at the old man. Could he really sacrifice his own life to save his mother's? Before he could decide, the ground beneath him began to shake. The villagers, the ones who had disappeared long ago, started to emerge from the shadows. Their eyes glowed with the same hairy light as the old man's, and they moved silently toward Adebayo, their faces blank and expressionless. Adebayo backed away, but the villagers surrounded him, cutting off any chance of escape. He was trapped. The old man stepped forward, his eyes boring into Adebayo's. "Choose, boy, save your mother and live forever in this village, or live now and let her die." Adebayo's mind raced. He could feel the cold breath of the villagers on his skin, hear the rustle of their clothes as they closed in. But then he thought of his mother, lying helpless in her bed, waiting for him to return. He took a deep breath and reached for the fruit. The old man smiled sadly, but as Adebayo's finger brushed the glowing fruit, a voice, soft but clear, echoed in his mind. "Run!" It was his mother's voice, weak but determined. Adebayo hesitated for only a moment, then he turned and ran, pushing through the crowd of villagers. They reached for him, their hands cold and bony, but he slipped past them, running faster than he ever had in his life. He didn't stop until he burst out of the forest and into the light of the village. His chest was heaving and his heart was pounding, but he was alive and he was free. When he reached his mother's side, she was still breathing, her eyes fluttering open as he took her hand. Adebayo knew he had made the right choice. He would never speak of what happened in that forest. The village of Immortals would remain a secret, a place where no one else would venture. But he had learned one thing that night: some paths are better left unexplored. The village of Immortals would forever remain hidden, a place of both promise and peril, where life and death were two sides of the same coin.